Okay. So method is a subblock of a class. So a class inside we discussed initially. A class can contain a lot of members, variables, one sub-member. Method is another sub-member. It's another one of the member of a class. So the method inside, you will write the logic. So logic is placed inside the method body, not directly at a class level.
Yeah.
So if you try to place the logic at a class level, it will throw compile time error. So class level, we are allowed to place variables and methods only will place inside the class level. So the logical statements such as method calls, calculations, print related statements, all these are considered as a logic. So that logic you will place inside the method body. And so the syntax of any method is access modifier, keywords like static or non-static. Static means you'll put a static or final keyword, whatever the keyword you want, you can keep, or abstract keyword you can keep, or without any keywords also you can write. Then return type. So I'll tell you what are the return types. We know one return type, void. So that you can write here. Then method name after parenthesis, curly bracket. So write the logic and curly bracket ends. So that is the method. Anywhere if you want to write a method, this is the syntax you have to follow. Every method is independent. If you want to start one more method, first start from here. Then it completely follow this and end the curly bracket. Then you can start one more method, next line. Not one method inside another method. So the method prototype means the head portion of the method is called method prototype. That means this one. This one is called method prototype. So if you take in the main method, this one is method prototype. Method body and logic. So the curly braces reason is called method body. Sorry. The statements placed inside the method body is called logic. So this body inside, what are the statements you write? All those statements are called logic. And method parameters and arguments. This is the very important topic. So the variables declared in method parenthesis are called parameters. See that. So this is the point we should know. I already given the parenthesis inside. If you declare, so any variables, declaration only. Those are called parameters. You can define a method with 0 to n number of parameters. So without parameters, you can declare. With the parameters, you can declare. The values passing to those parameters. So those are called arguments. Suppose when you can pass these values to these parameters is when you invoke the method, when you call the method, that time you will pass the parameter values. That is called arguments. Passing the values to the parameters while calling the method. So that is called arguments. So the syntax of parameterized method is access modifier, keyword, return type, method name, and parentheses. See, this is the parameter declaration. If you want one more parameter, comma, data type P2, comma, data type P3. So that is the how you can declare this parameterized methods. So this is the example. So public access modifier is a public. So keyword I'm taking is a static. Return type is a void. Method name I have given add. So everything as per this syntax. And then data type is a int A, and the data type is a float B. Sorry, you declared third. I told you already 0 to n number. Any number you can declare here. Here now I declared only two parameters, A and B. So then see, if you declare a parameter, you must use these parameters in the logic of the method body. Mandatory. A, B, C I used here. So tomorrow when I call this method and I can give A value integer type, B value floating type. So see, the 5 will go to A and 10.5 will go to B. So now wherever you are using, there it will replace these values there. And you will get the output here. Now this is the local variable. Sum is a local variable. And this output will store in the sum local variable. How can I say this is a local variable? See the variable left side, there is a data type. That's a declaration of some variable, and you are assigning the A plus B value. So that is the how to declare a variable and assign a value. Next we have, see, you can call the parameterized method n number of times. You can call, so this method n number of times. That's the method parameters and arguments. So these are, I'm passing these values, right, for parameters. A value I passed 5, B value 10.5. Here, A value 15. See, the another advantage of parameterized method is you can give your own data for the same variable. See, variable name one time you used and you can reuse, but different values you can pass for that method. You can call same method n number of times. That's the advantage, and also you can give a different test data for the A, B parameters. So any questions here? So you should be very clear on this area, because methods are declared as a parameterized methods and you will call them. While calling them, you have to pass the parameter values. Yeah, any questions? Before moving on to the next topic, method signature. So the combination of method name and parameters is called method signature. So you know, this is the method signature and this is the method signature. Next, method return type. Here also I'm giving, easily you can catch what is the return type of your method. The keyword that is placed before method name. Read again. The keyword that is placed before method name is called method return type. Again, read if you don't understand. The keyword that is placed before method name. See this. The keyword that is placed before method name. That is the return type. See now, this is the method. This method name before what is there?
Return type, void.
Void. Void is one of the return type. So that's how you can tell the return type. Here it is okay, but there are more methods will be there. So many methods will be there. If you see this, see this. So can you see this? What is the method name here? This is the one. What is the return type of this?
String.
String. That's a return type. So this is what I was telling here, the definition of the return type. So it tells to the compiler and JVM about the type of value is returned after its method execution. If nothing is written by the method, then we can use void keyword, which specifies that method doesn't return anything. So the return type keywords are void is one of the return type keyword, and all primitive and non-primitive data types. All primitive non-primitive data types are return types. That means your method can return even class object also. Your method can return an interface also. Your method can return an array also. Your method can return a string type also. Your method can return any data type. So, but in the Selenium, we mostly will use a non-primitive data types only your method can return. Most of the times you will use that only. That's why I'm telling non-primitive data types also very important. Non-primitive data types, other name is a reference types or derived types. So that is the method return type. There are two types of methods, static and non-static methods. So static method means if a method prototype line contains a static keyword, then that is a static method. So basically static means it refers a common property. It is common to often refer to static methods in Java as class methods. So the reason for why these static methods are associated with the classes and their objects is, so static is allocate the memory only once. So memory efficiency is more if you use a static keyword. It will first load the class into JVM. The memory allocates for static variables only once. And the same will be reused even for the methods also, static methods also. Only once memory allocates and you can reuse that. So you can invoke the static variables and static methods using class name. That's why I'm calling static system.out. Out is a static final variable. That's why we are calling system.out. So as I mentioned, dot purpose, if you know, I told you to access the fields or methods of a class. I'm calling the system class out variable. That's why class name dot out variable. System dot out, system dot in, system dot err, and the method system dot exit, system dot get property, system dot get env. All the static methods you can call with that class name. Which class they have declared, that class name dot static member. Static member means static variable and static method. These are the static members. And you don't need object to call the static members. So static methods of particular class can only access the static variables and can change them. So same class static variables can call in the static methods inside, and you can change that static variable. Static method can only call other static methods directly. Static methods can't refer to the non-static variables and methods. Static methods can't refer to super or this keywords. You cannot use the this and super keywords inside the static methods. Okay. So that's all about static methods. Let's see static methods. There are two types again. So two void and two return type methods. So static method syntax with void, so without parameters. That is called non-parameterized static method. If a method doesn't contain any parameter inside the parenthesis, that is called static void method without parameters. So parameterized static method, if a method contains parameters inside the parenthesis, then that method is called a parameterized static method. So access modifier, static, void, method name. So data type P1, comma data type P2. These are the parameterized, and this is the non-parameterized static method with void. So that's the two methods with void, without with void. Two methods we have: with void, without parameters; with void, with parameters. Next, if you don't write void keyword in method signature line, then the static method syntax: access modifier, static. See here coming a data type. So data types means, again, don't think it is only primitive data types. Non-primitive data types also. Your method can return non-primitive data. It can return a class also. It can return a interface also. Your method can return interface also. Method can return array also. Method can return string also. Array method can return enum also. So that's what I'm saying. Method can return any kind of data type. And Selenium mostly non-primitive data types. Only your method will return. All Selenium methods will return non-primitive data types only, like interface, class. Mostly interface and class only your method will return. Or array string. Your method will return string type. Another mostly used non-primitive data type. So then a static method without void and with parameters. These are the parameters. So see, another change here is there is a return keyword in the method body, but here you don't have a return keyword in the method body for the void methods. And here you have a return keyword in the method body. That is the last statement. Before closing the end curly bracket, that time only you can use a return keyword. Nowhere in the middle. Finally, okay, return this value after calculation of this logic, and you will get some output, right? That output you are asking return. That return type is this type of data. That's what we are telling here very clear. So what type of data you want to return, that write that value. This value belongs to what type of data. So that data type you can write here. So that's all about static methods. And so there are non-static methods also. Let's see non-static methods also quickly. And then we'll go for the, okay. So non-static methods, if a method doesn't contain any static keyword in the method prototype line, then that is a non-static or instance method also we call that. So instance method means So static keyword should not be present. Access modifier, return type, method name, parenthesis. So method body or logic. Curly bracket ends and curly bracket start and ends body must be there. Parameterized instance method. If a method contains parameters within the parenthesis, that is called parameterized instance method. See public void set emp name, string name. So only one parameter, but void. Non-parameterized instance method. If a method doesn't contain any parameters, then that method is called non-parameterized instance method. So access modifier, void, method name, parenthesis. So method body, and you can write log. So without void keyword, the instance method syntax is access modifier, data type, method name, parenthesis, curly bracket, logic, see return the value. So curly bracket end. See protected string, get emp name, return name. So this return keyword you will write in the body only for non-void methods. So access modifier, data type, method name, and parameters. You are declaring parameters, logic, and return variable, curly bracket ends. So this is the return type non-static methods. So how can you access or execute non-static members under main method or any other static method or any other non-static method? One, so same file you can call non-static method, another non-static method you can call in the same file. But what about other class? Can you call directly? No. First you have to create object for the class. So by creating object for the class, you can call non-static variable and non-static methods in the main method or in some other class methods, anywhere. First you have to create object for the class. How to create object for a class? So by using new keyword. So the syntax is local variable syntax C, class name, reference variable equal to new class name parenthesis semicolon. So now please remember this also I'm explaining word by word. So you have to read this also. So class is a non-primitive data type and that reference variable, the variable name. See, this is the local variable syntax is this. Local object reference equal to assignment operator. What is the purpose of assignment operator? What is mean by assignment operator? What it will do?
Assigning the value to that variable.
Hmm?
Assigning the value to that variable.
Which variable? What?
Reference variable on class method, whatever we have got, it will be assigning to the ref variable here for the local one, local variable.
Okay, so what? So this is the object value. That means, so when you create an object for the class, this is the object. This is called entire called object. Okay, this entire thing is called object. New class name parenthesis. This entire thing is called object. So that object will go and store in the heap memory. So heap memory, there is a integer number will create for that heap address. That integer number will store in this reference variable. What this reference variable holds? The memory address of this object. The memory address is a hash code, hash number, some integer number. So every time you create a new object, that means, see, again I create one more new class name, parenthesis, another memory will create. That memory address is different and this memory address is different. Both memory addresses are different. It's not same. So this memory address will store in this reference variable. So reference variable definition, what you give? If a variable point to the object. So see, the variable is pointing to this object. That is called reference variable. Reference variable holds the address of the object. This address will store here. So that means this assignment operator, what it is doing? This object address is copying into this reference variable. So again, I'm repeating this line of entire line. Class name is a non-primitive data type, and this is the reference variable, and assignment operator new keyword is used to create object. Every time you call new, a new object will create. One more line, if you call new, a new object will create. One more time you call new, one more object will create. Like that, you can create n number of objects for one class. One to many relation. One class, multiple objects you can create. So each object is independent. And in that object, that class, non-static variables and non-static methods will go and store. Another object you create, same copy will store in this another object also. So like that, n number of objects you can create for one class. That's why object definition you can give. An instance of a class is called an object. An instance of a class is called object. Like that, you can create n number of instances for the class. Each instance is called one object. Now, this is the one instance. This is the one instance of this class type. Class type, I'm saying, see, class type. So this object address will store in this reference variable, and this reference variable type is the class. So that's why data type, local variable, assignment operator, and object address. So this is the object. This object address is stored here. So, and again, here a new keyword I told you, which is used to create object. But what about this? Class name parenthesis. This is the default constructor. Only class name parenthesis is called default constructor. Every class has one default constructor by default. It will create, JVM will create one default constructor. Compiler will create one constructor for every class. So that is the object means. You can call this non-static methods with this reference variable dot non-static method. That means I'm using object reference to call the class non-static methods and non-static variables. How can you call non-static variables and non-static methods of particular class? What are the steps you need to tell? First, create object for the class. What is the syntax? Class name space reference variable equal to new space class name parenthesis semicolon. That is the object creation syntax. Now with this object reference variable dot non-static method you can call. Reference variable dot non-static variable you can call. So again, I'm repeating, this is the crucial. How can you call one class non-static method and non-static variable? What is the answer you have to give? By creating object for that class. So what is the syntax? Class name reference variable equal to new class name parenthesis semicolon. See, there are spaces also. So data type variable name equal to value. So then this is the local variable, right? This is the local variable syntax. So this is how you can create object. With this object reference variable, you can call non-static method and non-static variable. How can you call non-static variable and non-static methods of any class? What are the steps?
First, you create an object.
For what?
For that
Oh, for the
primitive
What
data,
you will
class.
create object?
for that primitive data type or non-primitive data type, like class name.
No, you have to tell. You can create object only for class, not for any other thing. You can create object only for class. You can create object only for a class. A class can have multiple instances. Each instance is called one object. So how can you create object for a class?
By using the
Using
dot
a new-
operator.
Hmm?
New keyword.
New
plus
keyword.
minus.
By using new keyword. What is the syntax?
Class
Class.
name, reference variable equals new class name, parentheses, and semicolon.
Semicolon. That's the syntax of object creation. What is object in this line?
The object is new class name parentheses.
So this is the object. So this object value, where it is storing?
In reference variable.
In
In
the
a heap
reference
memory.
variable.
Yeah.
In the reference variable. Obviously in the heap memory. So this object will go in the heap memory, but the value will you are assigning, right? This is the assignment operator. You are assigning. Okay, first this will go to heap only. But you are assigning to this local variable, right? Local variable will store in which memory?
Stack.
Stack memory. Stack memory it will store. So these are the very, very, very crucial points. What is anonymous object? So anonymous object means create an object for a class without a reference variable. That means this part won't be there. That means only right side portion. That is called anonymous object. No reference will be there. So directly new class name is the anonymous object. You can call the non-static methods with anonymous object also. So anonymous object dot non-static method 1. Anonymous object dot non-static method. So can you tell me, so here this one and this one will be the same or a different memory? So
It will be
this
different.
one and this one, every time, see, this is the very easy to remember. Every time you call new, it's a new memory. New object, basically. It's a new object. This object is different and this object is different. So see, to call two non-static methods, you are creating two objects. Unnecessarily, you are wasting memory. So that means anonymous object you need to use only when you want to call only one method of that class. If you want to call more than one method of same class, you should not use anonymous object. Why? If you want to call another method, you have to create one more object. It's a waste of memory, right? That's why you should not use anonymous object to call more than one method or one non-static variable. If you want to call multiple members of that class, non-static method, non-static variable, you always create with the reference variable. You create object with the reference variable. This is the best approach. If you want to call more than one method. And if you want to call only one method, you can create in the single line, you can create object and call the method. So that a number of lines of code you can reduce. So that's the non-static method and non-static variable. Okay. So did you know that you can create multiple instances of a class to store different data? So that just now I told. So a class is a template for creating objects. You can create multiple instances of a class. That means multiple objects, each of which is called an object. Multiple instance, each instance of class is called one object. Each object can have its own attribute values and behaviors. That is the some of the important points. Okay. So let's meet tomorrow. Okay, let's meet tomorrow.